I was standing in my childhood bedroom, suitcase still half open on the floor, when my phone buzzed again. "Please," my mom had said just weeks earlier, her voice shaky in a way I hadn't heard since I was a kid. "It won't be like before, I promise. I just want my family together for Christmas." Can you even imagine how hard it is to hear that and not want to believe it? I hadn't gone home for the holidays in 3 years. Every visit before that ended the same way. Me exhausted, taken for granted, and somehow blamed for things that weren't even my responsibility. But she sounded different this time. Softer, almost desperate. So I came. And now, as I looked around the room I used to love, something felt off. Downstairs, I could hear laughter. Not the cozy, relaxed kind. The rushed, high-energy kind. Doors opening, shoes being pulled on. My stomach tightened. I walked down the hallway slowly, every step heavier than the last. In the living room, my sister was shoving things into her purse. My brother was already in his coat. My mom wouldn't look me in the eye. "Where's everyone going?" I asked, forcing a smile. "Oh," my mom said too quickly. "Just a little thing. You don't mind staying with the kids for a bit, right?" For a bit. I looked down. 3 kids, all under 8. One of them was already tugging at my sleeve, asking for juice. My blood started to boil, but I kept my voice calm. "How long is a bit?" My sister laughed. "Relax, you don't have plans anyway." That was it. That tiny sentence snapped something inside me. They hadn't invited me home for Christmas. They had summoned me. I watched as they filed toward the door, perfume sprayed, jackets adjusted, excitement buzzing in the air. No one asked if I was okay with this. No one offered money. No one even said thank you. The door shut. The house went quiet, except for the kids. I stood there, heart pounding, staring at that closed door. Part of me wanted to scream. Part of me wanted to cry. But another part, colder, sharper, was already thinking, fine. If they wanted to use me like the old days, I'd let them. Just not the way they expected. Upstairs, my phone buzzed again. A group chat notification lit up my screen. "Adult Christmas night, don't wait up." I smiled for the first time since arriving. Oh, I wouldn't. The kids were sprawled across the living room floor within minutes of the door slamming shut. Wrapping paper everywhere, half-finished cookies, sticky fingers already testing the limits of my patience. I knelt down, smiling through clenched teeth, helping pour juice and find batteries for toys that screamed louder than my thoughts. On the outside, I looked calm, responsible. The dependable daughter they'd always relied on. Inside, I was absolutely seething. Every Christmas memory I'd buried came rushing back. Babysitting while everyone else drank. Cleaning up while they laughed. Being told, "You're just so good with kids." Like it was some noble calling instead of unpaid labor. I glanced at the clock. 17 p.m. They hadn't even pretended this was temporary. I checked my phone again. More messages in the family group chat. Blurry selfies, cocktails raised, captions like, "Finally free," and adults only. Not a single mention of me. That's when something shifted. Instead of feeling small, I felt clear. I stood up slowly, walked into the kitchen, and opened the drawer where my mom kept the house binder. Schedules, emergency contacts, school info, everything neatly labeled, because control was her love language. And suddenly an idea formed. See, my mom cared deeply about one thing above all else: appearances. Church friends. Neighbors. Facebook, the image of the perfect selfless family. If I touched that, the whole house of cards would wobble. I made the kids popcorn, turned on a Christmas movie, and sat down on the couch like everything was normal. Like this wasn't betrayal dressed up in tinsel. Then I started making calls. First, my aunt. "Oh, you're in town?" she said warmly. "That's wonderful. Your mom told me you were just stopping by briefly." I smiled tightly. "Actually, I'm watching the kids so everyone can go out drinking." Silence. "Oh," she said slowly. "On Christmas?" Next, my mom's church friend Linda, the one who loved posting inspirational quotes about family values. "Is everything okay?" she asked. I saw photos. Looks like they're having fun. "Yeah," I said sweetly. "I'm glad they are. I was just wondering if you knew how late they'd be. I've been babysitting since dinner." Another pause, longer this time. By the third call, my hands weren't shaking anymore. I wasn't ranting. I wasn't exaggerating. I was just telling the truth. And truth, I'd learned, could be devastating when it landed in the wrong places. Around 9:30 p.m., my phone buzzed again. Mom, everything okay? I stared at the message for a long moment before replying. Me, yep, kids are fine. Just curious what time you're coming back. 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. Mom, why? I leaned back on the couch, listening to the kids laugh at the TV. Me, no reason, just didn't realize Christmas night was my babysitting shift. No reply. Minutes passed. Then my sister texted privately. Sister, why are you telling people stuff? I smiled so they'd noticed. Outside, a car door slammed. Somewhere, a laugh cut off abruptly. The perfect night was cracking, just a little. And I hadn't even gotten to the best part yet. I didn't respond to my sister right away. That silence, it was intentional. I wanted them sitting there, drinks in hand, wondering how much damage I'd already done. Wondering who knew what. Wondering if they'd underestimated me. Again. The kids were calm now. Sugar crash setting in. One of them leaned against my side. Sleepy and warm. Completely unaware that the adults who were supposed to be responsible had dumped them without a second thought. That realization hit harder than my anger. This wasn't just about me anymore. Around 10 p.m., my phone lit up with an incoming call. Mom, I let it ring. Once, twice. 3 times. Then I answered. What did you do? She asked immediately, skipping any pretense. I kept my voice steady. I watched the kids like you asked. You called people, she snapped. You embarrassed me. There it was. Not thank you, not I'm sorry. Just image control. I didn't lie, I said. I just answered questions honestly. She exhaled sharply like she was trying not to explode. We'll talk when we get home. Click. I stared at the dark screen. My hands trembling now. Not from fear, but from adrenaline. For the first time in years, I hadn't swallowed it. I hadn't smoothed things over. I hadn't played nice. And somehow, the world hadn't ended. At 10:42 p.m., headlights swept across the living room wall. The front door opened harder than necessary. My sister stormed in first, heels in hand, face flushed. And not just from alcohol. My brother followed, jaw tight. And then my mom, moving slower, eyes already scanning the room like she was preparing for damage control. The kids were asleep on the couch. Blankets pulled up, TV volume low. I stood. What is wrong with you? My sister hissed. You made us look like monsters, I laughed. A short, sharp sound I didn't recognize as my own. You did that all by yourselves. My mom stepped closer. We just needed one night. One. On Christmas, I said, after begging me to come home. Her lips pressed into a thin line. You always overreact. That sentence, the one I'd heard my entire life, landed differently this time. No, I said quietly. I finally reacted appropriately. She looked stunned, actually stunned. And then she tried to pivot. Well, she said, gesturing toward the kids. At least they're taken care of. That's what matters. I felt something cold and clear settle in my chest. Oh, I said, about that. 3 pairs of eyes snapped to me. I can't do this again, I continued. So tomorrow morning I'm leaving early. And since you're all clearly too busy, I already arranged help. What help? My sister asked warily. I picked up my phone and turned the screen toward them. A text from Aunt Carol. I'll be there at 8 a.m. Don't worry, I'll handle everything. My mom's face drained of color. You told Carol? She whispered. And Linda and a few others, I added. They were very concerned, Hinson, the kind that buzzes. My mom opened her mouth, then closed it again. For the first time, she had no spin, no excuse, no control. And I wasn't done yet. You could actually feel the shift in the room. My sister crossed her arms, suddenly defensive. My brother stared at the floor. And my mom, the woman who always had an explanation ready, looked like someone had yanked the script right out of her hands. You had no right, she said finally, her voice low. This is a family matter. I tilted my head, funny. I didn't feel like family when you walked out and left me here without asking. She opened her mouth, then stopped. I could tell she was calculating, deciding whether anger or guilt would work better on me. She chose guilt. We've all sacrificed, she said softly. I thought you understood that. I felt my jaw tighten. Sacrifice is voluntary. What you did was assume. That landed. The kids stirred on the couch. One of them mumbled my name in their sleep. I pulled the blanket up gently, then turned back to the adults who were suddenly very interested in not waking them. I didn't come here to fight, I continued. I came because you begged me. Because you said you missed me. Because you promised things would be different. My sister scoffed. It's not that deep. I looked straight at her. It is when it keeps happening. For a moment, no one spoke. The clock ticked loudly in the corner, every second stretching thin. Then my mom sighed dramatically, like she was the victim of a long, exhausting day. Fine. If it upset you that much, we won't ask again. There it was, not an apology. A withdrawal of access. Old me would have folded right then. Would have said it's okay. Would have softened the moment just to keep the peace. Instead, I smiled. That's not enough anymore. She frowned. What does that mean? It means, I said calmly, I'm not available for last-minute favors. I'm not staying the rest of the week. And I'm not pretending this didn't happen. My sister laughed nervously. You're being dramatic. Maybe, I said, but I'm being honest. I grabbed my suitcase from the hallway and brought it into the living room. The sound of the wheels against the hardwood floor felt loud. Final. My mom watched me, panic flickering beneath her irritation. Where are you going to go? I already booked a hotel, I replied. Right after you left tonight. That part wasn't entirely true, but it might as well have been. The decision had been made the moment the door closed behind them. Her shoulders slumped. You'd really leave? She asked. Yes. She looked at the sleeping kids, at the quiet house, at the mess she couldn't clean up with words, and suddenly she did something I hadn't seen in years. She apologized. I shouldn't have done that, she said quietly. I took advantage of you. It wasn't perfect. It wasn't emotional. But it was real. I nodded once, thank you. Then I picked up my coat. As I headed for the door, my phone buzzed. A new message from Linda. Praying for your family tonight. Let me know if you need support. I paused, smiled to myself, and stepped outside into the cold night air. Behind me, the door closed softly. And for the first time in a long time, I felt lighter. But the real impact? That wouldn't hit them until morning. Morning came quietly, no yelling. No slammed doors. Just pale winter light creeping through the hotel curtains, and the unfamiliar feeling of peace settling into my chest. I checked my phone before I even sat up. 6 missed calls, 11 messages, all from family. I didn't open them right away. Instead, I made coffee, stood by the window, and watched snow dust the sidewalk below. For the first time in years, Christmas morning didn't feel heavy. No obligation, no guilt. No role I had to perform just to keep everyone comfortable. Eventually, curiosity won. The messages were different. My sister's tone had shifted from angry to defensive to strangely polite. My brother's was short and awkward, and my mom's? That one stopped me. Carol came early. Linda called. I didn't realize how bad this looked until I had to explain it out loud. I'm sorry. I let out a slow breath. That was the karma. Not yelling, not humiliation. Just exposure. Later that afternoon, I agreed to meet my mom for coffee. Public place, neutral ground. Boundaries already in motion. She looked tired, not dramatic tired, genuinely worn down. I didn't think you'd actually leave, she admitted, staring into her cup. You never did before. I know, I said gently. That's why I had to. She nodded. No argument. No excuses. And that's when I realized something important. The revenge wasn't the phone calls. It wasn't the embarrassment. It wasn't even walking out. The real revenge was breaking the pattern. I didn't scream. I didn't explode. I didn't punish them the way they expected. I simply stopped being available. And that scared them more than anything else ever had. We talked for a while, about boundaries, about expectations, about how things would have to change if they wanted me in their lives going forward. Some of it landed, some of it didn't. And that was okay, because for once I wasn't measuring success by their reactions. I went back to the hotel that evening, packed my things, and drove home the next morning with the radio on, and my shoulders finally relaxed. No dramatic farewell, no teary promises, just space. A week later, my mom texted again. Next year we'll ask, and if you say no, we'll respect it. I stared at the message for a long time. Then I replied, that's all I ever wanted. Do I think they changed overnight? No. But I changed, and that was enough, because the moment I stopped accepting scraps disguised as love, everything else followed. Whew. Did this one give you that satisfying chill?